This question is, why would I use Claude? And can you show me around the interface? Claude. Claude is... Why would you use Claude? You would use Claude because you saw one of the commercials recently and you don't want ads. No, well, I mean, that's half a joke, but not really, because Claude has pretty publicly said that they're not going to put ads in their product like others have said they're going to do. But past that, a lot of people like Claude because they believe it writes a lot better, which I agree with. It codes a lot better than most other, all of them really. Claude has a focus on, privacy and security. It's not perfect by any stretch, but they tend to lean more towards privacy and security. They put more guardrails in place, which some people don't like because they think it's too restrictive, but they try to do things to protect you more. They have amazing documentation. So I mean, that's a huge one. I get a lot of people don't like to read technical documentation, but a lot of things that they do with Claude, they document heavily. So if you wanted to look into it, you could find it. And yeah, I mean, they have some of the best reasoning models that exist. And I get that new models come out every day, it seems. And tomorrow the Gemini model is going to be better, and then the next day the GPT model is going to be better. But it's like each time the major companies go through like their model iterations, the Claude models tend to be on the top of reasoning, and reasoning helps you with any kind of logic problems, any kind of math problems, coding problems, etc. So there's more, but I think that's a good start. To just get to this page, it's Claude.ai. And one thing to note with Claude, at least today, you need to actually create a login. Like there's a free plan, and like I'm gonna show you the basics of the free plan, but know that it's not like Gemini or ChatGPT or Perplexity or even Copilot, where you can just go to those sites and you don't need to log in to use it. Claude, you'll have to log in. So like you're going to have to create an account, even to use the free plan. You have to give them an email address, and then you get access to this. But you can't just go to Claude AI and then just start using it. You have to actually create a login. If you're willing to do that, you get to here. And this is similar to a lot of the other major tools. Like your prompting window is just here in the middle, and this is where you just put in your prompt. And kind of similar to others if you've used other tools. But if you haven't, we'll just go through some of this. The little plus here is if you want to add a file or an image or photo, and then you can use that as context. So I can put in a photo and then prompt it to, hey, describe this photo, or ask it something about the photo or the file. You can take a screenshot. You can add it to a project. We'll talk about that in a second. You can turn on and off web search. So if you turn that off, then you're just going to be limited to what's in the model, like the training data and the fine-tuning of the model. It won't actually go out and search the web. You might want to turn web search off if you want to minimize hallucinations, or there's a bunch of reasons, but you don't always need web search on. You can change the different style that it uses, and you can add connectors. We'll talk about connectors now. Connectors basically will connect Claude to other things. They have a pretty big list of things you can connect to. So think like Google Drive or SharePoint, or if you have like Notion, if you have your data somewhere else, like this connects to Canva, ClickUp, Clay, PubMed, like just a bunch of different things. Usually via an API or MCP, if you know what those are. It's basically applications talking to applications, and they're just different ways that they can talk to each other. That gets technical and will take a long time, so it won't really go into the specifics of APIs and MCPs, but I'm just kind of slowly going through this list so you can see how many different things you can connect. And this isn't everything. This is just what's built in. You can connect to pretty much anything that can do MCPs with Claude. That's a whole different video, but a bunch of connectors. And you have your model selector over here. Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. They're basically like, this is the fastest, and then this is the quote unquote best, but it's just the one that can do the most, as I say, most capable. But it really depends on what you're doing. Sometimes the faster models are actually better for different things. You'll see on here if certain things are outside of the range of the free plan. So it's like you can't use the top model unless you upgrade. More models, these are all the legacy models. Again, you can't use legacy models unless you upgrade. Extended thinking turns on different levels of reasoning, and for more complex tasks, logic, math, coding, etc. And then it has a voice mode where you can, instead of typing in whatever your prompt is, you can use your microphone and talk to it, and then it'll talk back to you. Or a couple things to note, and reasons why people don't necessarily like Claude sometimes. Claude does not currently have image generation or any kind of video generation. Not everyone uses that, so it just really depends on if you care about those things. But those are two of the bigger, cons when people list like their pro cons list of Claude that doesn't do image gen or video gen. I think it makes up for it because the things that it does really well, but choose your path. If you expand the little side menu over here, you have a couple of options. New chat is just this screen that I'm on now. Chats just goes through your old chats. Projects are similar to, what are they called? They are called projects in ChatGPT. They're kind of similar to gems in Gemini. They're called projects in Perplexity. I don't remember what Copilot calls them, but it's basically like a folder where you can put in multiple chats, and then you can also like set custom instructions just for the project, and then you can add, if you have files, you can add files to it. And the whole idea, like for example, if you are a project manager and you work on different projects, you can have a, project alpha here and project bravo and project whatever, and then put in all the specific things just for that project. And then maybe you have a project for each of your team members. Maybe you have a project for each of your departments in your business. So you have a marketing project, you have a sales project, you have an HR project. However you want to segment things out, you can use projects as containers like you would use like a folder on your computer or on your phone, and then just put the relevant data into that project. Artifacts are things that you create in here, and they have a bunch of what they just call inspiration, artifacts, just so you can go through and see the different things you can create. So, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Artifacts are actually really interesting, but you can make flashcards. You can, this is a application that'll help you learn how to write Python code. This is a small platformer game. This is a QR code generator. So you can make a bunch of things in here that it will code for you, and then you can put into artifacts. That's a whole video by itself. But moving on, there's this is Claude Code. It's you can't use this on the free plan, but it's kind of one of Claude's claims to fame, so I'll talk about it for a second. But you need at least the Pro plan, which is their, I think, $20 a month, or $17 if you do it for a year, and then you get access to Claude Code. It basically, you have to, if you're not a technical person, you probably won't care about this at all. If you are a technical person, like this, basically You run it from your terminal or your IDE, and then it can code stuff for you. So if you give it like requirement stock, if you give it information about what you want to build or you want it to build for you, it can start building stuff, and you can get insanely detailed in here. It's like a lot of professional IT engineers will use Claude as kind of either their junior developer or like does their testing for them or does just whatever things for them. I think some of the biggest users of Claude Code are actually people who work for Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, and they actually use Claude to help program Claude Code to program Claude. But anyway, if you've heard of Claude Code and whatever, this is where you access it. And you have to, there's a whole, again, that's a whole other video series, but Claude Code is kind of amazing. Your recent chats will list here. It's the same thing as if you go under chat. And then what's under here that's interesting? You can change your language. That's kind of standard. And then we'll just go under settings. I won't really talk about those things. Capabilities. Again, you can turn your artifacts off or on. And again, this has a different explanation of artifacts in here to generate content like code snippets, text documents, or website designs, blah, blah, blah. And then there's also AI-powered artifacts where it will have apps prototypes or interactive docs that will use Claude inside of the artifact. So just artifacts doesn't really, like it can just do, I don't know, a PDF, we'll say, and then AI-powered artifacts that will have an interactive thing that will actually run Claude inside of it. So they're separate things, but you can turn both of them off or on, and then you can turn on and off from the code execution and file creation. And then skills is another thing. I feel like you can't use skills on the free plan unless they change this. It's interesting. It looks like I can actually do it. Skills are basically, again, this is a separate video, but the 1 minute version of skills is basically if you have things that you do all the time in Claude, you don't have to put in the same instructions repeatedly. You can just build a skill and then just use the skill instead of having putting the instructions in. So like, for example, if you have a small business and you want to put everything in line with your brand, you have all the details of your brand, you can put that into a skill and reference the skill instead of actually putting everything in. Let me see. They have examples. Oh, that's one of the examples. So let me see. Let's turn you on and let's see. I don't know if this will work. I feel like this didn't work in the free plan before. Oh, but maybe it will. New. So usually what it'll do with skills is it creates a file, which is whatever name.md, and that's just for Markdown. Markdown is a way to format plain text files. So basically, if you use like a Google Docs, for example, or Microsoft Word or something, you can do all kinds of different formatting like bold and italics and headings and all kinds of things. You can't do that with plain text. So Markdown is a way to identify things that you would like bold or italicize or whatever if you could put different formatting on text. So let me see. Yeah, so it's like I feel like this might not work because I don't know that I have any of these files created, because like I said, this is a free plan that last time I used this, last time I tried skills on here, it didn't actually work. Oh, it's going to work though. Let's see. Now this actually just built out the app. Now that different. All right, let me go back into skills. But yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of different skills that you can like go through in here. So you can look through here and just see if any of these are interesting. And then said skills. It's really anything you can think of that you just do repeatedly. You can create a skill for it, so you don't have to just do it. Basically, it saves you time. You don't have to put in a ton of instructions each time. You can put them in once and then just reference the skill. Connectors we kind of talked about before, and then Claude Code we talked about before. That's kind of it for the free plan. And again, it probably seems like, quote unquote, less than like if you were using a ChatGPT or a Gemini. And I guess from the purely number of features perspective, it might be, again, like the image gen and the video gen, it really turns a lot of people off. But I think Claude is really worth it if you code, like absolutely if you code. If you do anything that requires reasoning, again, like logic, math, and code are kind of the big ones, but just like, you'll know if you use the other tools, like a ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, whatever, and you get better results when you use like the pro models or the thinking models than you do if you use like the fast or the flash models. That usually means some level of reasoning is being applied. And if that's been your experience, then, like I said, the Claude reasoning models are almost always better, in my opinion. So if you do reasoning tasks, Claude is just worth a shot. And again, if you do any kind of writings, if you have it write emails for your reports or whatever, the writing for a lot of people is just more natural and creative and just better. And like I said, Claude has a huge focus on privacy and security. And yeah, so I mean, I'll walk away there. Again, it's Claude.ai. You have to create a login, so you have to give them the email, and you can use it once you go in there. They do have a free plan. I will make other videos about like an actual paid plan, and you can see like some of the other things that you can't do with this plan, but this is plenty to get you started. You can come in here, give it some prompts, have some back and forth conversations, try the different models, try extended thinking, and yeah, just play around, see what you think, and ask questions if you have them, and we will see you next time.